we know, at least in the, in the grand scheme of things, what the major drivers of change are. And they're mostly us. So we're playing this roulette game of impacting systems past the tipping point and then expecting them to return to what they did before, and it doesn't happen a lot. Climate change is a significant factor because communities of fishes and populations are going to shift both in distribution and abundance, making the economics of fisheries difficult to sustain, especially during this period of rapid change. Often, both nations and individual companies, individual fishermen invest for the best of times, and then when populations decline, there's greater competition for fewer fish, more economic dislocation, and all the social and economic consequences of those kinds of changes.
Climate change, ocean acidification, ocean pollution, coastal development are major threats. Ocean acidification is right now currently very much of a concern in the Northwest and the Northeast, where they're seeing major changes in the shellfish populations, in the lobster populations. There is a concern for these ongoing threats, and unless people get involved and people care, it will continue to become a problem. We need a long-term model that will support the guidelines of sustainability, that will take our coastal communities and our fishing culture into the future.
So two of the systems that I've been fortunate to work for a large portion of my career in include North Carolina and oyster reef systems there, actually now down into Florida, and then up here in the Gulf of Maine, around Cape Cod and into southern New England. I predominantly worked with commercial fishers going out to sea, going as far off as 100 kilometers offshore to interesting areas like underwater seamounts, such as Cash's Ledge in the middle of the Gulf of Maine, and studying these rockier systems and how the species associate with them. So very different. A lot of the habitats I focused on down south were nursery habitats, and things like seagrass beds and salt marshes and oyster reefs, which species were utilizing it during those early vulnerable phases inshore. Whereas up here, I've done some juvenile work, but also working on habitat for adult fishes further offshore. Really trying to understand better how species like sea scallops are going to, how they're structured, what are the source and sink populations, so that we can have a better handle on how the closed areas that exist today and in the future will drive their productivity or affect it, if at all. And then how are they going to respond to greater acidification of the oceans. With all these state-of-the-art tools and genetics, genomics, and biogeochemistry, we have the real opportunity to investigate questions around stock structure and how global change will impact species distributions and their ecologies.